Or I can do it. There you go. Mark, you there? Mark? Mark, you should be there, right? Hold on.
I am listening to you all. I keep hitting on mute and it's not, but unable to access microphone.
All right, well, I got you on my phone now, so can you hear him?
Fair enough.
All right, so I'm just gonna mute you on my phone until we're ready to go.
Andrew, is he on his phone online or is he on his computer?
On an iPad.
He's on an iPad.
And it won't let you talk?
It will not.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Okay.
There's a big echo.
I'm
I
gonna
think
hide the
that's his
phone.
iPad.
Okay.
All right. Can we start recording?
Yep, all set.
Great. So Sandra Mills' CPC meeting was starting a little bit late as we were waiting for a quorum. Just to kick off the meeting, it is now 6:28. And I'm going to read off the statement from the state, why we're meeting this way. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law GLC 30A 18, the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitation to the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Southborough Community Preservation Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information that the general guidelines for the remote participation by members of the public and or parties with the right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town of Southborough's website at https://www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch or participate in this meeting may do so with the following manner by finding the meeting at https://www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time by technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so despite the best efforts, we will post the Southborough website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. So with that said, calling the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Any discussion? So this actually calls for a roll call vote, as we've done this in the past. So you actually have to say your name and then go through and say yes or no. So
You want a date on that?
yeah, Ben, you want to?
Minutes of, so I would have to pull up my email to get to that.
The 25th of February.
Okay, motion to approve the minutes of the 25th of February, 2020.
Duran seconded.
Okay. All those in favor? Mills, yes.
David Candela, yes.
Lorianne Jasinski, yes.
Benjamin Smith, yes.
Mark just. All right,
Andrew, I'm not sure, but you might need to say who's else is in the meeting.
also
Record.
attending the meeting, we have Jen Hansen, Lisa Bracchio, and Tim Davis.
And then maybe me and Betsy.
Oh, and Freddie Gillespie and Betsy. Carol.
More enthusiasm, please, Andrew.
All right, so the next
Thanks, Dave.
meeting minute agenda is to consider the vote. The selectmen, I think most of you know this, but the selectmen have requested to limit town meeting as much as possible down to items that are really pertinent for the town for functioning for the next fiscal year. They're looking to slim down the warrant articles dramatically to basically anything budget related. So they're requesting that we postpone, in this case, and we're going to say indefinitely, so until then they're planning a fall town meeting. But at that point is where these items would come back up. And they're looking to postpone the Callander Field project and also the St. Mark's Church bell tower request. Again, the intent is to keep town meetings streamlined as possible so people can vote. The town is going to be able to still operate, but any items that are going to cause a lot of discussion, they want to postpone until the next meeting. So you have to
Is
vote
that
on that
happening?
to
Is
pass
that
that.
actually happening? Or is that up for debate?
Can I
What?
speak?
Well, I want to know Dave's question. What do you mean actually happening? Town meeting
So
or?
they are pushing off the Callander. That's not going to happen, or is it? That's 100% not.
They're requesting that we postpone it until the fall town meeting.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
Not that we
I got it.
squash it
Sorry.
completely. We just
Yeah.
push it off till the fall town meeting when
Okay.
we can have time to discuss.
Sorry. Okay, thank you.
Can I offer clarification, Andrew?
Sure.
Just so you know, David, I got confirmation that through the, I didn't speak with him specifically, but from Paul Semino, it's been said that there's no chance that any of these articles won't be heard in a future town meeting. Nothing's different except for the.
Okay, I didn't mean
Like
it to be so
anything.
blunt. I didn't.
No, I
just-
understand.
Yeah, cool.
Best
I
to know.
appreciate that. Okay, I
You
appreciate
did that for my
Thank you.
benefit.
Yeah, you know me, I snap like
So
that.
there's no change in the status of any of the articles that are being pushed off, just the timing.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry, Andrew. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. So I did allow Tim, Jen, and Lisa to talk if they have any. Lisa specifically, if you have anything to add on this one. Tim, if you have any questions, specific to the recreation one, if you, but this isn't targeting just the Callander Field. This is happening across the board for.
Good
all the
evening.
warrant articles. Hey, Lisa.
Hi, how are you? So
Hi, Lisa.
the intent of this, hi Dave, how you doing?
Great.
The intent of this is, we want town meeting to be as safe as possible. The moderator as well as the Board of Selectmen. So in trying to make it as short and as safe as possible, because again, there's potentially a quorum issue as well. We've are asking everybody outside of a budgeted or bonded item that has to be approved to hold off on their article until the fall. We're looking at potentially the end of September, maybe beginning of October. No date's been set. Everything is guaranteed to go back on the warrant as it was now. So it's all we're asking for is just a postponement from annual town meeting to make it go a little faster so people aren't sitting there and getting nervous with COVID and everything that's going on. We thought this was a safer measure. And obviously it's up to the voters to decide that. We'll ask the hall, if the hall is amenable to this. And that's why we're asking you. So, you know, we can give, for instance, if there's somebody that has a concern on either side on one of your articles, this gives them the opportunity to know that no one's going to try to pull a fast one or anything like that, that it is indefinitely postponed to the fall. So that's really what we're asking for. It's just a commitment from anybody that has an article, including citizens petitions. Even it isn't just PC articles. We're asking planning board as well. I know, Andrew, I don't know if you guys are meeting on that tonight, but we've asked planning board on their zoning articles. We're trying to do it across the board to keep this as safe and quick as possible. So that's the rationale behind it.
So I'm sorry, so you're saying we'll just be doing budget? You'll just be doing budget?
Basically, that's what the intent is, just a
Yeah.
consent agenda, Dave, to get in and out relatively quick. I don't know
Yeah.
that anyone has a level of confidence in sitting in a
I
room with a
understand.
bunch of people right now.
No, of course. I don't mean to be insensitive to that. Of
No, no,
course.
no.
Yeah.
But I want you to understand that it's definitely coming back in the fall. This is
Okay.
not taking something away that's not going to come back. We just want the healthy discussion to be had on all articles. You
Fair
know,
enough. Yep.
The fall just seems the safer way to do it.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Do we need to vote on it?
We do need to vote on it, yeah, so that be looking for a motion that we postpone the Calander Field project and St. Mark's Bell Church Tower projects until the fall town meeting.
Second,
Who's the first?
Make the motion.
sorry, Andrew, I thought Andrew made the motion. I would say so moved. Okay,
Second. Okay, so let's go through this. Mark, I'm gonna say, Mark, you go last, okay? Andrew Mills, in favor, yes?
Benjamin Smith, yes.
Dorian Jasinski, yes.
This is going to be my first no. David Candela, no. Sorry.
Okay, Mark? All right, so that motion carries. All right, next one. Tim is here because there was some, Tim emailed me about the couple of projects that they have in flight, and I wanted to get everyone together to review this a little bit and just get a heads up. This might just be a start of a conversation, not necessarily taking any action tonight, but wanted to give everyone a heads up on what's happening with the lights, both on the Mooney Field and the tennis courts specifically, and what they've been going through to get plans together to go to the planning board, and then a bit of the finances for it. So Tim, do you want to give a quick update on this?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. So I'll give you a brief history and then it'll explain where we are today and why I'm here tonight. So one of the biggest projects that we have through recreation going on in town right now is the lighting projects down at Mooney baseball fields and Neary tennis courts. Through the last 6 to 8 months that I've been working on it, we've been working both obviously with my commission as well as the planning board, the planning department, and then also our hired architects from Traverse Landscape Architects to try to get the appropriate plans in place to further the applications and further these projects along through the planning department and in front of the planning board, as it has been a couple of years since funding was granted. We submitted, and Andrew, I'm sure you're familiar with this, we submitted a few versions to the planning department, and each time we were met with more questions, more clarifications, more homework to do, submittal after submittal. So it kind of came to a head about just when all this started, when everyone started vacating the town offices. So, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, where we finally sat down in a room with the planning department, with members of the planning board, with DPW, with Karen Gallagher from DPW, as she was really starting this or working on the project heavily before I came into play. And then Jen Hansen was there as well. But we were also there with town council because everyone wanted to get their opinion on, what was appropriate for the planning department and the planning board to ask of the recreation department, if what was being asked for these projects in regards to full site reviews, if it was necessary, and so on and so forth. So, skip ahead, big long meeting, very, very productive. But what came out of it was an understanding that we were paying our architect only $800 to do pretty much 2 major site reviews. And he was doing it as a favor in the beginning. We didn't think it was going to turn into such a big fiasco as it has. So what was decided was that we needed to go back to our architect firm, who were very, very confident, and we need to discuss with them what it would take for them to get a single person within their firm to take these projects on as lead, work with the planning department, work with the planning board from start to finish, work with Musco Lighting, use all their engineers that they have in play to really further along, to get this where it needs to be, to get what the planning department wants, what they need, and to, like I said, it's been a couple of years since funding was granted for these projects, so we just want to get them off the table at this point and build them for the community. So what came out of it was 2 contracts that were produced by Traverse Landscape Architects, addressing Neary tennis courts and addressing Mooney. Just the prices offhand, the Mooney contract would be $8,700, and then the Neary tennis contract would be $9,200, and that contract carries an electrical engineer that would work on both projects with Traverse. So the reason why we're here is, we see this as the best way forward. We think we're at a point where this is the necessary step. This is the work that needs to be done, and that's in agreement with the planning department upon their recommendation, and the planning board chair who was there, as well as advice from town council that this is the best foot forward to get these things rolling again. So the reason that we're back with you all is to see if these amounts can be charged against the funding that was granted for the 2 projects. Speaking with Andrew briefly over email, it seems like this would dip into the contingency amounts. I do not know what those amounts are. I don't have that paperwork in front of me, just because I don't have access to all my files as I would at work. But we were hopeful that these amounts could be charged against those articles. And Jen, if you want to jump in with anything, if I missed anything, please feel free.
I've got a question. The engineering services, does that include construction phase engineering support or project management?
This gets us to, this is strictly for the plants. This is to get us through until the planning board gives us approval.
And then, during the construction phase, who's going to be doing the construction management, making sure that these engineering documents are complied with and taken care of if there are any, field changes, that kind of thing.
My assumption would be Traverse, probably be the principal of the firm, as he's been overseeing all of our construction projects.
Okay,
that would be my.
Are those services included in Traverse's current fee, or is that going to be an additional expense once construction gets underway?
I believe it'll be an additional expense.
Okay. Has that been, was that, I'm just refresh my memory, was that budgeted for in the amount that we approved 3 years ago? The construction phase?
I want to say yes. Jen, I don't know if you can speak to that better.
Yeah, so I'll admit this is actually before I was even on the board, so I'm not completely sure, but typically that is budgeted into our fees when we scope the cost of what it costs to do this kind of work.
I'd like to ask.
Ben, can I just jump in? I think where you're kind of going with this is I think it's been 3 years since this originally got approved. I can tell you that the original amount that we budgeted for contingency was $18,000 just for Mooney Field. So if we're using almost 8,700, that's almost half of the contingency just on the plans. And where I'm kind of, where my concern lies is with the change in the number of years it's been since we originally got quotes on this and everything. Is there going to be enough funds to actually complete the project?
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows the answer to that. What effect, what's going on with the economy? I don't know if it's gonna make prices more expensive or less. I don't think anyone really knows. It'll be interesting how the bids come in for the actual construction work. I was just, okay, I'd like, Freddie, do you recall when I remember voting on this? I just can't remember the actual details. Did we include project management? Did we ask for that to be included as part of the application and in what we voted on? Do you recall?
I just got a hold of the plans tonight. So this came up kind of for everybody, just so you know, quickly, because there wasn't a lot of lead time for this meeting because of the selectmen's request. And it just occurred to me, we should all be looking at the application. And I'm not seeing that the budget is included on the documents that were sent. It was likely another document. So if Tim and Jen can try to find that to see exactly what was included in the,
Okay. Listen, I'm not trying to hold up the show here. I just, I want to prevent snags that will slow things down any further to the extent that we can do that. And we may not be able to simply not be able to answer the question tonight, but I don't think that
we have the breakdown of the budget and the stuff that Betsy sent to us.
I didn't have the chance to print it out.
Okay, so we have Richardson Tennis Court. We have a proposal, CPA funding requested 133,000. And we have a breakdown of that 133,000. Do you want me to read it? Because I have it right in front of me.
Do you see something in there, project management or anything?
Nothing. It says lights are 70,000, engineering is 3,000, and installation and materials is 60,000, which includes an additional 20,000 to bring power from Parkerville Road.
Okay.
So that's
well, hopefully,
the tennis court, and then there's a breakdown also for the Mooney Field.
Okay.
Do you want me to read that? There's nothing in here for management at all. There's
if it's not there, then it's not there. This is
there's
just
site and electrical engineering of 15,000, but there's absolutely nothing in there for any type of management.
Okay. I guess we'll have to rely on Traverse and I'm not suggesting that we stop things over this. I was hoping, certainly hoping for a different answer, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think it's a valid question. So I just want to say I appreciate the question because it's a good point. So I will add that in order, I'm not going to sign anything until anything is granted, and the quicker we can get approval or find out if we're not going to be approved would be better, so we can maybe try to seek alternatives. We're just really trying to get this rolling. We're getting pressure from a few sides, admittedly, both with the groups that use it as well as Top Floor. So we are looking to kind of gain a sense of if this may or may not be an option for the funding piece of it.
Well, I'll go first, right? So that we approved this originally. I know it's taken some time. There's transition in leadership and everything. I would be in favor of actually allowing the plans to go before the planning board. I'm sure there's going to be great discussion there and from the public, as there was when this originally got discussed and approved. But if if we don't allow them to use the money, the contingency money to begin with, to put this forward, I mean, we're killing a project we already approved. The other piece that I would ask though, Tim, is that while those plans are being created and everything, to try to get an idea of what you think, you know, if you have an idea who's going to put the lights in or something like that, get some, what the changes to the budget might be, because we would need to, if you don't have the funds to do it and the expectation is to come, or not expectation, but if you're going to come back to the CPC, we need to do that as quickly as possible to figure out, you know, what the new budget would be, to request those funds from town meeting.
I mean,
That's
to
me
date,
personally.
to date, the plans alone of, you know, how many candles we're putting in has not changed. So, you know, I can't tell you that the price hasn't changed. It's been almost 3 years. So, you know, things change. But it's definitely, you know, just on the surface, I know we're not changing dramatically what's actually going in. So, you know, if there is a slight change in price, you know, hopefully it's only slight. I don't think it would be too drastic, but it's definitely something I can reach out to Musco. It's all cookie cutter stuff to them. So I'm sure it would be simple of them to really give some prices on what we have in place.
Can I just jump in one really quick thing? In speaking of keeping price down, Tim, I'd just like to suggest that you, prior to officially submitting the plans to planning board, that you and/or, geez, it'd be great if the engineer would accompany you, meet with the town planner and go over the plans. Because one thing that happens, I'm sure Andrew can attest to this, if plans go in and there's something that's incomplete, the planning board can ask for a revision, and that's a way that engineering costs get driven up. If you go and you meet with the town planner, and whether it's, you know, online or in person, I don't know what the time frame is going to be here, but that way you can get in and out in one meeting with no surprise engineering costs. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, so it's a great suggestion, and I was in the same thinking. So that's actually built into these two
Excellent.
contracts, that there's at least 2 in-person meetings with the planning department, and then at least 2 meetings with the planning board, which includes Musco attending as well. So that's part of the duties of this.
Beautiful, thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I make a question, Andrew?
Yeah.
This is Freddie speaking. Because of the uncertainty over the engineering costs managing the project, was that what you were talking about, Ben?
That was my first comment, but my second comment is just in terms of the 17,000 and change to prepare plans for planning to approve. I just wanted to make sure that if they meet with the planner beforehand, they'll have a set that is ideally complete enough that it won't require revision after a planning board meeting, and just keep
Right.
engineering costs down.
But I heard there was a concern over the possibility that there could be more management costs that weren't
Well,
identified in the original budget. And
it sounds like we didn't ask for that when we
Right.
approved it. This may be the project that caused us to start asking for it subsequently, because we have been doing that since, and I just wanted to see where we were on it. At least with engineered plans on hand, I think that the chances of problems will decrease anyhow. Like I said, I just seeing where this project fell in the timeline.
so I was just saying that you could approve the contingency funds for this plans with the expectation or request that they come back with a revised budget that they're more comfortable with. Because the one thing the CPC has always been really clear about is we're trying to help all projects be successfully completed, and not in an effort to be facilitating no surprises that bring a project to a halt, but to help move it forward so you know what to expect in case there's some additional funding needed, and then come up with solutions for that instead of being hit with it unexpectedly.
Can't we get a cost for someone to run the project, manage the project, and then make an amendment to the budget and then vote an increase in the budget? Would that be the way to handle it, so we can increase what we're we need to get this done. So, I mean, we have to figure out a way to do it. So if there's a management cost, Tim, can you get a cost or a quote of some type for us and
Yeah, absolutely.
from your guys? And then would we be able to just amend the budget and just revote it?
Go to town meeting. This is a town
Right,
meeting
well-
approved project.
All right, so, but would we have to vote to bring an amended budget to town meeting on this in order
Yeah.
to do that?
It would be a whole new project,
Yeah.
warrant article. It wouldn't be the whole new project, but to add to it, it would be, you would have to do a warrant article and, you know, do the whole application and all of that. But it can be done. That's why, you know, you want to know sooner rather than later in case you do run into an overage that the contingency can't handle. So that you can, if the committee so decided, you can be the most helping to move the project forward. Because there's only the amount of money that was approved at town meeting. There's no extra, just the contingency.
There may well be enough money in the budget to handle project management also. We won't know until bids come in for the actual construction work. So I take
Exactly.
Freddie's point that if we approve this evening the use of contingency funds for engineering to provide plans to the planning board, and then Tim, if there is going to be an additional expense for project management and there is room remaining within the contingency funds, you would come back to us with that estimate just to let us know what that is, and we would, I'm sure, vote to approve that expenditure.
Excellent.
That was a motion, correct?
And that's what I move.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, Mills, yes?
Benjamin Smith, yes.
Durant?
David Candela. Oh,
Yes. Sorry.
sorry, David Candela, yes.
Mark Murphy, yes.
And for the
Nice,
record-
Mark.
And for the record, Mark switched from his iPad to a computer, so he's now
I heard him ding in.
303, so I'm not holding the phone next to the computer anymore.
Oh, my God.
Tim,
Thank
Ken,
you
anything
guys
else?
very much. No,
Okay.
and I just want to say on Calander, we're completely in support of that. So don't think there's any hard feelings, at least on my end. I know where we're at right now, we're probably going to lose a construction season anyway, just with everybody being so backed up. So no big deal with Calander. We completely understand the stance on that.
Okay, great. Thank you for understanding. Appreciate that. Next item on the agenda then is to consider a request for fall special town meeting projects. So there was, I think the selectmen requested town offices, town departments to look at other ways to fund projects. So there could be a request coming in for work on a town building or a project on a town building. We just wanted to see if that would be something we'd be open to. Obviously, I think before anyone goes too far on putting together a project proposal or anything, we point them directly to, you know, if it's a historic preservation piece, you know, the standards that we've put in place for past projects, i.e. we'd be looking for historic designation, you know, that they meet historic criteria for doing the project, and looking to designate it as a historic site and preserving it going forward, and it couldn't be torn down, things like that. But just wanted to open that up to everyone to give you a heads up that things might be coming for requests like that. And if everyone's amenable to looking at something, if it does come through meeting our criteria, we could see something for the special town meeting. That makes sense?
Can I make a comment there, Andrew?
Yeah.
So this, I was on an email from Capital Committee. And I think the question for the CPC is if you're opening, we have a regular schedule of when we accept applications. And if you open it, unless it's an emergency situation, if you open it to one organization, are you opening up to do a whole review of anyone who wants to do applications for CPA funding for a fall town meeting? That was what we had always done in the past. You know, if somebody had an emergency situation, but just to start accepting applications, the committee needs to decide if that's something they want to change their timeline on. You know how long it takes you to review an application process, and is that possible between now and the fall?
I mean, I think it would have to depend on the project personally. You know, I don't want to discourage people from sending in applications because even if they can't make it for the fall, then we could probably get it for the next town meeting. That's just my stance. And, you know, I agree with you, Freddie, that it takes a long time, but at least maybe we get the ball rolling and get some participation, proactive participation from some other groups within the town.
And I wasn't weighing in, this is Freddie again, I wasn't weighing in one way or the other. I was just stating that if you want to do that, then you want to put a notice out that the CPC is now accepting applications to all and everyone in town.
Well, Andrew, when were they going to submit something? Did they give you any idea?
I have not gotten the a request personally, but I've heard through the grapevine that one might come. But again, if it's, I assume that it would have to do with a preservation of a building or something like that. If that's the case, again, we would stress the criteria that we've had in place for restoring historic buildings, and what we'd be looking like a CR on the building, designations, registering it.
But we'd consider it in due course. I mean, this isn't a day before the deadline type stuff, right? I mean,
well, I think we just see what happens and how far along we could go, and within the time frame we had personally. And then if, like I said, if we couldn't get everything in time for the fall town meeting, we then say, hey, let's go to the next one, which is only going to be a couple months away.
okay. Thanks.
But I'm looking for advice or everyone else on the committee to make sure they're aligned with that. Or if everyone says, no, you know, we wait for next year, then we'll say we discussed it as a committee and the decision was to wait until the next application phase.
So maybe I'm missing something. Are we going to receive something that they want considered in September? And
that seems weird to me.
We could get a request for something that might want to go on the special town meeting for September instead of, you know, next fiscal year's town meeting.
I don't know about that.
yeah, I don't know about that either. Let's wait and see.
But we can wait. Yeah, I'm done.
Dave, I'm with you. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
We can certainly agree to make best efforts, but I don't, you know,
Yeah,
just given everything going on, we simply may not be able to, you know, gather a quorum, you know, sufficient number of times to actually get something approved. But we can certainly, you know,
keep it
commit
open.
to try.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was trying to say, if I didn't say it appropriately, but.
No, you said
Work
that.
with someone to say, see what they had, what they wanted to do, what the urgency was, how far we could get, and if it wasn't feasible for the special town fall town meeting, then
we can always say no.
Over into the next one.
We can always say no. Yeah, that's
Right.
true. That's true. Yeah. Okay. We can keep it open, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything else on the agenda but to adjourn.
Wow.
To adjourn.
Thank you, guys.
Roll call.
But we need a second.
Second.
David, yeah. Hey, be safe, everybody. Stay healthy.
Thanks for your
Okay.
patience,
Got a
guys.
vote to
Gotta
adjourn.
vote. We got to
Lori
vote. We
Yancey,
got to
yes.
vote.
David Candela, yes.
Mark Murphy, yes, and thank you for your patience.
No problem, Mark.
Benjamin Smith, yes.
Dorian.
Dorian Jasinski, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
All
Andrew.
right, guys,
everyone.
stay
Thanks,
safe.
guys.
Thanks,
All
thanks
right.
Bye,
Betsy
everybody.
and Freddie for
Behave
putting this
yourselves.
together.
Stay
Bye.
safe.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, bye.
How do I hang this thing up?